Welcome to Put Down the Mascara. I'm your host, Kate Holmes. This is a podcast where we uncover our authentic selves and cut through the bullshit of life and really learn how to live authentically and unapologetically. Thanks for joining us. Hi, I'm Kate Holmes. I am the host of Put Down the Mascara, and we have an exciting topic to talk about today. And really continuing on the trend of being authentic and cutting through the bullshit. I'm here with Nichelle. She is in the fitness industry. She is a mom of 4, former police officer, and extremely focused on safety.
Very focused.
So, tell me more about yourself.
Well, it all started.
There's always a good story behind,
Exactly. Well, it does start long ago, actually, because, as we say, your past doesn't define you, but it
shapes you.
Definitely shapes you.
Mm-hmm.
And so my story started long ago. As a child, I went through a very traumatic situation, all right? Some abuse in there. I won't go into detail, because do you have some time?
We got time.
But however, it was a long childhood, let's say. And when I got into my teens, I finally broke that cycle. I started to heal. I came out. I fought back, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And during that period was a very hard time for me because it was such a ripe age. I was 14 years old, very influenced, very
impressionable age.
Impressionable. It was very hard to go through all that and go through all the things that I was going through to start this process of not only, healing, but also trying to protect myself.
Right.
And what I did was, found a support group. There wasn't much support, but because only certain people knew, and, school was getting really difficult because, the gossip in the halls, and this, that, it was just very hard.
It speaks to how important your support network is.
It really does. And so I'm
important.
all about support groups. I'm all about reaching out to, even if you don't know that someone's going through a hard time, throw that support out because someone in the room knows somebody. And that's, I always say that, in my talks or if I'm just reaching out to anybody. And what I did was I kind of left my small city and I went into a kickboxing gym. Sounds really odd, I guess, but it was for me a way. I was very athletic, naturally athletic, and it was a way for me to try something new, but also to get away from my small town, which didn't have that. And back in the day, kickboxing was just kind of, I guess, coming out.
Yeah.
It was, I'm from Montreal originally, so I walked into the gym. Didn't know anybody, which was great because, you start on almost like a clean slate and no one could bug me, interrupt me. And just learning those techniques on how to channel my anger, channel my hurt, channel my emotions in a positive way just really helped that process of healing for me.
Yeah.
Because especially at that age, you have, I want to call it a fork in the road where you can feel sorry for yourself and decide on, I want to say drugs, alcohol, or you can go the other way and let's do better than this and let's help the healing process and, show others that you can be strong from this and help others along the way.
Right.
And that's where the whole idea of becoming a police officer really came from. Because they, back in that day, they were the only ones that I felt helped me. Because there was no other support other than the police who were there for me.
So that drove you to that career?
Right away. Like I knew when I was 14 years old that I wanted to be a police officer.
And how long were you an officer?
15 years.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Very important job. Very important job.
It was, it was an amazing job. It was an amazing career. But what happened is throughout my career, I was, kickboxing, boxing, had a great time. I was in the amateur circuit fighting. I then got hired as an officer here in Ontario. So I moved my entire life from Quebec here just by myself. Packed up the car, drove down the 401 with a hope and a dream, had no idea what I was getting myself into. And it was wonderful. I mean,
You wouldn't change it.
I wouldn't change it at all.
Yeah.
And I learned so much. And during my career, I had, wonderful support, wonderful friends. I put the bad people away. It should be, and that should be away. And I did things that I felt would support my interests. I worked in the schools, I worked in youth forums. I tried to break the barriers down between youth and police to show them that if you're in need, you can reach out to, the pants with the red stripe, those are good people.
Yes.
I really tried to break down those barriers and really help diversify everything. And during that time, I also left boxing because I got married and then we started to have a family. And so having a family, kids come along and you realize you don't have much time.
No, surprising how that happens.
Right?
And you chose not to just have one.
I had 4.
So your time changed, looked different. And I think as moms and wives, we get lost in those very important roles, but we forget what we like and what's important to us.
It's so true. And again, I don't regret that because that's what we need to do is, take care of our little ones.
Yes, and raise good human beings.
Exactly. And during that time, I said, I was so into fitness and into it because fitness, it wasn't just physical for me. There was so much that I learned from that. Psychological, mental, emotional, so much that I was healing still from. And I didn't want to give that up. But I knew I didn't have time. So I said, well, what can I do to keep my fitness level the way it is or my headspace where it was? And I decided to do fitness competitions. And honestly, that was just because the plan. I went to see a bodybuilding show.
There's so much dedication that goes into that. Oh my goodness.
On so many levels, physical, mental. And they were up on the stage by themselves, competing against other people. So there was the competition aspect of it, which I liked because, boxer, kickboxer. But then I thought, how do you do this? And really, all it was, as long as you can find a certain time during the day, anytime, not specific, like be at the gym, sparring at 6 o'clock for 2 hours, it was whenever you can, as long as, your meals are all prepped and this and that. And then you work out whenever you can during the day, which was great for someone who needed flexibility like myself. Because I was doing shift work and I was, racking up the boys. Yes. And that's what happened. So when I got into fitness, I really saw, I saw myself change, but so did everybody else. And then it was kind of like I organically grew into a fitness coach without even, I didn't want it. Meaning that wasn't my intention of doing it.
Right.
But when people saw me change and saw how happy I still was and I was managing it all, how are you staying fit, but you have the boys, but you're working and you're how are you balancing it all? And it's basically all in time management. Mm-hmm. So they started to come to me. And I said, well, I don't know. I just follow the rules. I'm a rule. You give me what to do, I'll just do it. And I said, okay, let me be my first client. I said, okay, you'll be my guinea pig. Let me try it. She lost 80 pounds. But it wasn't the weight. That was the gravy, right?
It always is. When people go through a life transformation, that weight loss is the wonderful side effect. But it's all of this intrinsic stuff that's happening as well.
The whys, the emotions, the mental, the wows, the everything. Oh, wow, I can do this. It's the empowerment. It's the inspiration, the motivation that you're giving. And it was crazy. And
the control that you have to make change.
Right.
You can make change.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing because there was so much joy and so much that they were, grateful for. But I was grateful because I was seeing, oh my gosh, I did this. I helped this person on a different level. Yeah. And with policing, and I'm not saying this negatively, please, but police deal with maybe 10% of the population, 90% of the time. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
It's a small population. You keep putting in jail, they get back out.
They're no one to you.
They're no. And it becomes frustrating. And if you're not a person, thankfully I'm not like that, but you become almost disgruntled. What's wrong with the system? The system is broken. And then you get angry because you're doing the same thing over and over. It's like madness.
Yes.
With coaching other women, and it was just amazing because I was creating this, I guess, crew of women and who fixed each other's crowns. We became this network and it was women supporting women and more women came on and I was just having an amazing time. And so my days off, we used to work 4 on and 4 off. My days off were so busy doing, like, helping other women with their, plans, fitness plans, workout routines, and
Meal
the boys, meal prep, that I started having so much fun, and I wanted more because I felt so good. It was like an addiction. Like, I feel so good. I'm making these women happy. And then my job dealing with, the garbage of the streets, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you took a risk.
I took the
Another
biggest risk of my life, and I literally, my husband left at the same time. He was also a police officer. And while I was doing my side gig, he was also doing his side gig, photography. Again, taking pictures. They last forever. These moments of, just putting a smile on people's face. Like, it was the same feeling of euphoria.
Yes.
And so we both got so busy at our side gigs that we just said, let's go and launch our business together. So we opened a gym.
Yeah.
So I had the gym part, and he opened the studio beside me. So he had a big studio, and he would shoot for fitness magazines and for, fitness.
Some cross
Girls,
pollination.
boys,
Yeah.
yes. So we'd have the gym that he'd kind of shoot in, get his magazine, get his pictures published. My clients were happy because they're in magazines. It all worked great. And then hit COVID. Well, there you go.
There you go.
There's a saying in policing, it's adapt, or pivot, adapt, and improvise. I can't remember the
all
exact.
of us were doing that during
Yes.
COVID, especially in the fitness industry.
We got hit hard.
Very hard. So many struggles with that.
Yes.
And yet you're here today to tell the story of you're doing what you love still, and
Yeah.
you were able to pivot enough to do that. And women are amazing in how they think and being able to do that.
So true. And I don't think we as women realize how resilient we are.
Mm.
It's like you get put in like hot water. You just learn. You learn how to fix it. You learn how to multitask. You learn how to make it happen.
You do.
You really do.
I got tired of hearing the word pivot during COVID though, so I don't want to hear that word again.
Let's
Because
not do that.
let's stick to our plans for a
Right.
little bit, right?
You're
Just
right.
a little bit.
It's true.
Because COVID was very tiring for people,
Yeah.
and I'm glad to hear that you were able to make it through that, and you are back thriving, because you're doing great work and empowering women. And that's what this podcast is about, is every time we speak to a woman, anytime they're passionate about something, it's they're loving what they're doing. And you are the same story as that side. That's a takeaway that I am definitely listening to, is do what you love.
So true. And you'll never, feel like you're working a day in your life if you're doing what you love. And and the whole safety thing actually kind of came again organically. These things fall in my lap, and I just run with them because that's the way I am. I jump off a cliff, and I kind of get my wings along the way, and I soar because it's meant to be. If it's coming organically to me, why not run with it?
Absolutely.
And
take those risks. Do bold things.
Yeah, some people can't take risks, and I do respect that because I know it's hard. Apparently I'm a risk taker. I even got married like 6 months after I met, went to Vegas, did like I didn't even know. Like, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
And I'm married 19 years now, but you don't know unless you try. And if you wait so long, when is that moment going to be? When is it? People say, oh, just wait for the time.
Mm.
Wait till you're ready. Wait till you're this. But when is that time? Because it's never enough sometimes.
Right.
So just do it. Figure it out along the way. That's the way I think of it.
I love that.
So,
and it's working for you.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
Hey, there's days, don't get me wrong, and it's always up and down. But that's what I love about like entrepreneurship, or now I'm a small business owner. We changed our gym because we had to shut it down. We changed it into a tactical shop because we were going to go back to policing because that's just what I do, what I love.
Yes.
That's all I knew, so to speak, like before the fitness industry. And we couldn't get out of the gym space, like the actual space itself. So we said, oh no, what are we going to do now? So, okay, well, all we knew was policing. So let's change it into an emergency services tactical store.
Oh,
so we help.
interesting.
We actually see a lot more of our old friends than we ever did even having the gym space. Because with the gym space, it's usually 3-kilometer radius of the community that live there.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, we're in need. We sell everything, like uniforms, accessories, everything except guns, obviously, because, but so people come and, we deal with services, we deal with our old friends, and, it turned really good. So what I did was I switched my social media because it used to be heavily focused on fitness because that's the way, you promote nowadays. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, how can I switch my social media in a way that's not like selling things so much, but just providing information? Again, I love to help others. So I said, let me use my experience with self-defense, meaning like, my boxing and kickboxing, I had over 20 years, and my expertise or skill levels with policing, hence safety tips, what you should do, from a police officer's point of view. Some people just don't know. So I'm like, safety and self-defense. So I kind of started, doing videos, so to speak, on stuff like that. And they just like took off. And I don't know why, but I'm happy it did, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think it's because maybe many women aren't talking about the subject, or maybe the credibility that I have because I'm actually speaking from experience. I don't know, but I'm happy because that's what I do now. And, from there, I started teaching self-defense classes with also a former police officer who's now retired, but we go together and we do our thing. And it's just become a really nice, flexible schedule, and I'm still helping others.
It's fantastic. And that's how we came to know each other, was through your self-defense. Why is it important for women to know how to keep themselves safe?
Ooh, so many reasons. And I want to say the typical, well, because, to feel protected, but it is like, it's this, we call our business kind of, common sense self-defense, because a lot of things I say, a lot of the things I do videos on are common sense, but common sense isn't so common anymore. People get complacent. People, we just get into autopilot almost every day. You go from your house to pick up your coffee, to go to work, like same routine. We just, that's dangerous.
Yes.
And, many people who've been victims before, they always say, oh, I never thought it would happen to me. And that's normal to think that, because, in our communities, you don't think that. But there, unfortunately, is bad people everywhere. And so I think it's important that women either learn self-defense, or at least, really, really become more aware of their surroundings in general. I know that sounds cliche, but you need to protect yourself, because you're going to gain more self-confidence doing that.
Yes.
To know you can walk out the door confidently, and feel like, yes, I can handle my own. And if I can't handle my own, I know how to get out of that situation and get some help. So yes, more confidence, which turns into more self-empowerment, because you feel so empowered, in other ways of life too, because once you feel confident and empowered, you want to spread that. You're walking around with empowerment. You want to share that with others.
It goes into other aspects of your life too.
It really does. And safety. You feel safe.
Right.
When's the last time, and I'm not asking you, just in general, when you've gone somewhere and felt safe? Do you feel safe walking? And I'm not calling out the TTC. I'm using this as a public transit. Last time you felt good walking into a public transit, where it be, and felt safe. Wouldn't you want to feel that way? Or at least know that it's okay if anything happens, I know how to protect myself.
Because the world is not a kind place right now.
Unfortunately, it's not. And it's not going to get any better anytime soon.
It's not.
Again, so if you can't learn like self-defense, so to speak, what I always recommend anybody is take a martial arts class. Even if it's a beginner's class, I honestly think boxing and kickboxing it did on so many levels, changed my life. And yes, it made me heal, but the confidence and just, I can handle myself. Come at me, bro. No, but you know what I mean? Yeah. It really did empower me, and throughout my life. And so I always tell people, just take a martial art class, and if you can, one that does groundwork. Because a lot of women, even if you can stand tall, you get knocked on the ground, what are you going to do? So if you can take a jiu-jitsu or a judo, something that does a lot of, even if it's a beginner's class, just to kind of feel comfortable on the ground. Get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable.
In all aspects of it. Like, that resonates through so many different aspects and levels of life. Nichelle, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a privilege to get to know you better. Anything you want to leave our audience with as we finish up?
Oh boy, that's
loaded question.
It really is. I don't know, and nothing specific. I just want to say, don't be afraid. Take those chances. You'll be okay. Simple.
Love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's today's episode of Put Down the Mascara. Before we sign off, I want to drop a friendly reminder your way. While we do our best to bring you helpful insights, stories, and perspectives on this podcast, I want to make it clear that we're not here to replace counselors, advisors, and experts. Remember, education and empowerment are journeys we embark on together, and seeking guidance from experts along the way is great for your personal growth. Thanks again for tuning in to Put Down the Mascara. We can't wait to have you back next time. Your feedback, stories, and suggestions keep us going and fuel our passion for empowering women everywhere.